This doesn't happen much when you're an adult, but I made a new friend this week, and her name's Lynn Campbell. She does the Scottish Mushroom podcast. I never thought I would be friends with someone that talks all day about mushrooms, but there's something about Lynn and her videos on LinkedIn that are quite interesting and compelling. And we finally caught up and had a chat the other day, and she does quite a lot of work in the Scots language. And she was telling me that she thinks that it's a shame that the Scots language in some places is kind of covered up or, forgotten about or ignored or diminished, because there are words in the Scots language that don't exist in main English. Okay, so like to coorie, snuggle, nestle, cuddle up, that kind of physical and emotional warmth where you feel safe and content. There isn't really a word for that in the English language, but coorie just does it perfectly, doesn't it? Driech. So it's not just wet, it's not just overcast, it's not just a wet, horrible day, it's depressing as well. It's driech, okay? And I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about words, and and how important it is that words exist for things. Right, so if you take a word like bullying, if that word didn't exist, it would be quite difficult, wouldn't it, to conjure this sort of shared experience. And then if there's no word for it, then it's really difficult, isn't it, to do anything about it. Whereas when we can label it and we can say, well, that's bullying, then you can have an anti-bullying policy, you can run bullying workshops, you can educate people, and you can start to change things. Take a word like love. Okay, now love has many different meanings, but that kind of romantic love, if there wasn't a word for that, how would we know that we each experienced it? And if we didn't know that we each experienced it, then it would be difficult, wouldn't it, then to justify making time for it? Well, why should you get weekends off work? Why should you get 2 weeks summer holiday? Why would you start a family? Why would any of that matter? Now, it would matter to you, but the way that you discuss it and engage and then legislate around it, either in the workplace or in the kind of wider society, if there's no word for it, it's quite difficult to do it, okay? So if you think about the maybe a child spending time with the grandparents, right? You know that there's something special, assuming they're nice people. They're not always, but mine were. That as a child spending time with your grandparents, what is that? It's a nice thing to have. And what I'm saying is, if we have a word for it, then we'll make more time for it. We can justify it. We can build it into our busy lives. Now, we don't really have that word, but the ancient Greeks would call it storge. In Danish, there's a word, I believe it's hygge, which is a warm, cosy, convivial atmosphere, drinking tea and chatting with family. Storge, hygge, coorie. English has a word like kind of like nostalgia, I suppose, but I think that's not being with them, is it? That's thinking about them after. Whereas the Danes and the Greeks and the Scots, it's more emotive, isn't it? And as a result, when you talk about like the Scandinavian approach to life, I think part of that is because they have it in their language, and I don't know which came first. But it strikes me that when we look at English, it has had much of the emotion and the humanity, I think, kind of maybe beaten out of it a little bit, I suppose. Whereas a language like Scots, it has all that character, that richness. It has a relationship with the landscape. It has a right mood about it, doesn't it? Whereas English doesn't. And a lot of people, and I probably used to be one of them, would go, well, what the hell does that matter? I don't care. As long as people understand what I'm talking about. But I guess the problem is that what we're talking about just gets diminished and diminished and diminished, right? Because we don't have enough of a rich language, so then we don't do these things and talk about them. We don't share that experience, even if it could be good for us. And the thing that comes into my mind when I talk about that then is AI. Because if we end up diminishing things even more, where all we've got is the AI version of it, And it's even more devoid of reality and humanity and emotion. We could end up actually being really kind of boring and insular and a bit miserable, couldn't we? And if somebody from now were to come along in 30 years and say, what's happened to you? Why are you all like this? We would say, that's just the way it's always been around here. And I kind of think that's quite interesting, isn't it?